What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my main man, my partner, my brother here.
And if you don't know, now you know. The Prince of Fresh Air. Thanks for having me again, bro.
Yes, sir. So we got a situation that I felt compelled to want to talk about. So we got an article courtesy of CNN.com which says Queen Cleopatra actress Adele James talks blackwashing. The article goes on to say that Adele James is addressing a colorism controversy over a Netflix docuseries in which he stars as Cleopatra. Queen Cleopatra, which is executive produced and narrated by Jada Pinkett Smith, portrays the ruler of the, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm going to say Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt as a woman of color. Egyptian government officials have criticized casting James, who is biracial in the role. The actress addressed the backlash during a recent appearance on the Wayne Ayers podcast. Blackwashing isn't a thing, right? I find it sad that people are either so self-loathing or so threatened by blackness that they feel the need to do that, to separate Egypt from the rest of the continent. The debate is not new. Cleopatra has been played by a variety of women, including Elizabeth Taylor in the 1963 film. In 2020, there were complaints of whitewashing when actors are cast to play people of color, with news that Israeli-born actress and Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot had been cast to play Cleopatra in a forthcoming film. At the crew of the debate among historians has been whether Cleopatra, who hailed from a long line of Macedonian Greeks, would have darker skin because of her African ancestry. Those who support the belief that she did also point to the fact that Egypt is part of the continent of Africa. Now I'm going to finish off by saying Queen Cleopatra is part of Pinkett Smith's African Queens franchise. In an article posted last month on Netflix's Tudum site, the series producers addressed the royal's ethnicity. Her ethnicity is the focus of Queen Cleopatra, but we did intentionally decide to depict her of mixed ethnicity to reflect theories about Cleopatra's possible Egyptian ancestry and the multicultural nature of ancient Egypt. So what are your thoughts on this, bro?
Man. It's time to get on this. So, I did a little research, and let me say this: Jada Pinkett Smith is not someone I'm looking forward to hanging out with anytime soon. But in this case, I got to defend her. I think people are up in arms about something that realistically, when I see people saying cultural appropriation and blackwashing and stuff like, I don't think that's the case. Egypt is a part of Africa. Egypt is known for its melted pot diversity. So is it really hard to say? Is it really can people actually say Cleopatra was a mixed race? Because clearly she is. And like I said, Egypt is in Africa. So we don't know what she looked like. We don't have any pictures of her, but we can assume based off the historical accuracies and all that stuff that she is of mixed race and she comes from a place predominantly of African descent. Now, the cool thing, the thing I want to bring out, and it's something that you mentioned, the quote that you pulled out from the article. Her ethnicity is not the focus of Queen Cleopatra, but it's more about her achievements and what she's done. And I think that's the most important part. I think there's a reason why Jada Pinkett Smith didn't just choose an ordinary person. She chose someone who could depict that part of her. She's mixed, and it's more about her achievement than it's her skin color. So many people are mad about the skin color, and it's not. And as someone who hasn't watched it, I'll admit that. But I don't think people gave the show a chance because I'm doing research and I'm seeing low scores, and it's mostly because people don't like the race of the actress, who's, by the way, Adele James, very beautiful. But I think that the show is more about her achievements and not about her skin color. And even if it was about skin color, it's not that far off to see Adele James as a Cleopatra type. Whitewashing is a thing. Like I said, Gal Gadot was supposed to be playing Cleopatra a couple years ago. I wouldn't put her as that because that's not what Cleopatra would look like. But I can see Adele James being someone that Cleopatra could look like. So, I don't get it. What do you think?
Like, her ancestry, Cleopatra's ancestry, does not. I'm just assuming, this is just my assumption. It does not consist of people that look like you and me. That's what I'm saying. When you look at her Wikipedia page, when you look her up, and then you see all of these people, these are all white people. Because Egypt was conquered by various people throughout time, just different races of people. So it started with black people, and then other people got in over time, and then that's how Egyptian, culture changed. And that's how the people started to fucking change.
So with that being said, then would you say that this Adele James being Cleopatra could be? You could see why people are upset about it.
I'm saying that for me personally, I'm not gonna knock Jada Pinkett Smith for choosing Adele James because I get the intention behind that. And honestly, black people, we need more of that in film. However, at the same time, I feel like our history goes in Egypt goes so much further than that I feel like there are more stories to tell just other than Cleopatra, if you feel what I'm saying. Because that portion of Egyptian history that takes place when Greeks were there. So when you're hearing people saying, well, Cleopatra doesn't look like that, I could understand why they're saying that, because again, that was during a time when Greeks were there, which is white people. So when they say Cleopatra looked like Elizabeth Taylor or Cleopatra didn't look like that, I get that because that's when white people were there. You feel me? That's when white people were there.
So you know what? In that case, I'm going to still stick with my initial thing that I feel like, like Adele said, if people just watch the show because of, it's not about the race of the characters, it's about the story. But then again, you can make a case of, it's a tough one to call because as you tell me that, it changed my opinion just a little bit.
All right. So I hope it makes sense a little bit more. So let's say two of your parents are from Europe. They're from Rome, okay? And then they move to Egypt and they conquer Egypt, but your mother was pregnant and she was carrying you while all of that happened. So then they finished they finished conquering Egypt and then you're born there. Does that make you black or Egyptian just because you were born there? No, because the two of your parents are white. They just moved over there, but that does not make you black or African. That's who Cleopatra, to me, that's who she was. Now, do I think she was like pasty face, whiter than white? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? But there's a reason why, Elizabeth Taylor was cast as Cleopatra. Not because they were whitewashing, but because, in fact, white people were there at that particular time in history. They were not the originators of Egypt. Absolutely not. They were conquerors of Egypt. Arabs were conquerors of Egypt, but not the original ancient Egyptians, they themselves. Because they cannot decipher hieroglyphics. They can't read that. Go down to Egypt and then look at the walls where hieroglyphics are carved into the walls and then ask them, what does that mean? They cannot tell you.
That's a you know what, that's a decent point. Now that I hear that, you know what, I can say this. I think that I'm gonna try to look up that Forbes article, but I think that
and on top of that, here's the other thing too, because I just had to look this up. And on top of that, Egyptians, those people over there, Arab people, they are Muslim. They are Muslim. That is not the original spirituality that ancient Egyptians were practicing. You feel what I'm saying? They are conquerors of Egypt. These people are not the ancient Egyptians, they themselves. Because if you go back 10,000, 50,000 years, we as black people, we've been on this earth for 250,000 years. No black people were practicing freaking Muslim. No black people were Muslims back then. This is what I'm saying. So they conquered Egypt and then they started calling themselves Egyptians and said, you know what? Well, since we're in charge here, we're just gonna say Egyptians are its own separate race, and we were here this whole entire time. And because they're in charge, who's gonna stop them? Because black people are not unified enough to say, you know what? Let's just go and get them out of there. We're not unified enough to be able to do something like that. That's how they got away with it.
Interesting. So you know what? Let me bring this up.
Because you got to look through history, and then you'll see It was we were conquered. So we were conquered. All right. And then you had white people who came in there, Europeans. And then after that, you had Arabs who came there. And then those are the most recent ones that have stayed there.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm reading the article. It makes a good point from the conversationalist. And they go on to say that many outrage from people in Egypt, including a comedian called Basim Youssef. They wanted to talk about the difference between why is Netflix Queen Cleopatra a case of cultural appropriation. And so they went on to define appropriation and appreciation. So she was in this piece. They said a wave of the public outrage in Egypt, including many personalities, including comedian Basim Youssef, called out its distortion and appropriation of Egyptian culture. The outrage is not about Cleopatra's skin, as depicted in the docu-series clickbaiting trailer. Skin color did not matter to ancient Egyptians, nor does it matter to modern Egyptians. I may disagree with that part, but it does go on to say it is Cleopatra's remarkable achievements and lasting reputation that makes a target for different groups claiming her as their own, such as Cleopatra being called, in this particular case, African queen instead of Egyptian queen. In that case, let me ask you, do you agree with that assessment? Do you think that, aside from the skin color part, do you also think that there's a case of the fact that because instead of calling her an Egyptian queen, they call her African queen?
Because Egypt is not a race. To be Egyptian is not a separate race. You only have four or five different phenotypes of people. You have Caucasoids, you have Negroids, you have Dravidians, and you have Mongoloids. All right, so yeah, that's four. There's no fifth one specifically for Egyptian people. No, that makes no sense at all. So that's you only hear that from them because they're calling it for what it is. Egypt is an Afro-fucking-ca. So therefore, that would make her an African fucking queen. Now, in this case scenario, Cleopatra is not African, just like I said earlier. She's not from there. The both of her parents, they come from Europe. Both of her parents were white. So just because you were born somewhere does not make you of that place you were born if your parents are not from there, they themselves.
No, you make a good point.
So the other women, like the other two episodes that series is dedicated to, yeah, it'd be more accurate if these women are in fact black and from Africa. But again, Cleopatra, it's just because all of this is basically like Egyptomania, and everybody, and Google it, everybody wants a hand on ancient Egypt because it is something that people never understood, and because of where it's at, the last thing that they want to do is have what is considered to be one of the cradles of civilization, which Africa is a cradle of civilization, but Egypt, the cradle of civilization, to be associated with the people that are fucking native to the goddamn continent, which is black people. They don't want that. When you look at history, black people have always been like looked at as like second, third class to other races, compared to white people, to Asians, to Indian people. And that is a narrative that they came up with. So they would never want, to admit the truth that modern society as we know it is built on and is from black fucking people. They don't want that shit. That's all. That's this whole conversation, really. Because let me just look it up. Let me just look it up. By the way, hold up. So, Egyptomania definition, right? So, Egyptomania refers to a period of renewed interest in the culture of ancient Egypt, which people don't understand, sparked by Napoleon's Egyptian campaign in the 19th century. That's all it is. Because our history in ancient Egypt is so long ago that it's so obscure, which created space for other groups of people to come in and just create their own history. Because Egyptology doesn't even really cover the totality of Egypt's history. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's something that I heard in a lecture years ago where it's like the the pyramids used to be submerged in water. And then if you really analyze the stones that the pyramids consist of, they contain water damage that goes back 30,000 freaking years. So the storyline that white people have created and possibly Arabs, but let's say white people, for instance, who have included, events that involve Egypt in the fucking Bible, when they say that the Hebrews were enslaved to create the freaking to build the pyramids, how can they say that when the pyramids were there before y'all say that they got there?
Exactly.
Everything that we know about Egypt, a lot of it is based off of a narrative that they came up with because they were the ones that were there.
I think all this is a good, it makes a good talking point, and I think the key for me, and I think what Adele James, the lead, was talking about is this is not about, they didn't make this show to push an agenda. They didn't cast her to shout, something, there's no political agenda here. They just chose someone they felt was good for the project. She was half white, half black, and they wanted to do something positive on the story of Cleopatra. Now, you could debate whether, it should have been a white person, whatever the case may be. Fine. But at the end of the day, she said the story is much more impactful if you take the race out of it. And I think that's what's important. Look, based on what I'm hearing, I can see why some people might be upset. But again.
Yeah, well, Cleopatra didn't look like none of the freaking people that are in Egypt right now. So exactly, I didn't even know, again, why they're mad. You know what I'm saying? Because she didn't look like you. You feel me? And then on top of that, just to piggyback on how recently these people are there. So if you Google, what are the top 3 religions in Egypt right now? All right. About 90% of the population in Egypt, 90% of them practice Islam. And then, just under 10% freaking practice Christianity. Okay. Now, Islam and Christianity, these are recently established religions, because Islam, when was it created? It says Islam, according to religious historians, Islam was founded by Muhammad the Prophet around 622 CE Common Era, or about 1,382 years ago in Mecca. You see what I'm saying? Like everything that's associated with them over there in Egypt is fucking recent. It's not like they're practicing things that are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years old. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Nah, everything is recent. But we were in Africa 250,000 years ago. Y'all weren't there. You guys are not from there.
And you know what? That's a good point too.
Cleopatra is not Egyptian. She is a conqueror of Egypt, or her people. Her descendants, where she comes from, these are conquerors of Egypt, not Egyptians they themselves. Because Egypt has, throughout history, has become a revolving door of different people who came through there. We were there first. White people came in, and then Arabs came last. Just look through history, and it'll show. And I think we definitely touched on a lot of this stuff, in the other quick take that we did.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. And let me mention this one last thing for me. This is the difference between culture appropriation and appreciation. And I see some people saying that this is cultural appropriation. I don't think so, because this Netflix special, Cleopatra, is not meant to change her history. It's not to rewrite who this person is. It's really to highlight what they've done. And like I said, I haven't watched it, but based on what I'm reading, and I did read a little bit of synopsis and read some of the episodes, it's highlighting what she's done. And I think that's what's important. Cultural appropriation is, let's say, someone took a white person, made him Martin Luther King, and changed his whole idea and message that he lived by. That's cultural appropriation. They're not doing this. I think they're trying to honor this person. And I think they're trying to do it without, they're not trying to change who she was. They're not trying to rewrite the history. They're using their own interpretation of the character, but in a meaningful way. So, you know what? Again, I think so many people are hung up on the race thing. Rightfully so, maybe. But at the same time,
history. If you just look at history, and I'm already like starting to connect the dots myself, but because I'm just, and you let me know if I'm correct or not. Is there what is the difference between AD and CE? Because I know CE is stands for common era, and I know AD is after death. But I just want to make sure what's the difference between AD and CE real quick. Hold on, give me a second.
Ooh.
So what does CE stand for? CE stands for Common Era. It refers to the same years as AD does, just in a more secular way. All right, now watch this. Watch this. Okay, where is it? Okay, because I just had it. So basically, it says when. All right. So when did I googled it? When did Arabs invade Egypt? In 639 AD. When was freaking Islam created? In 622 C fucking E. It just told me that CE and AD are the same thing, except one is just a secular, because AD means after death, which refers to Jesus Christ. Okay, but CE is just something more, common for people to say who don't subscribe to Christianity or Catholicism. So meaning, not long before they invaded Egypt, they just created their main fucking religion. You see what I'm saying? So their whole shit started in 639 AD. Not long before that, they created the fucking religious practice that they started to this day. If that fucking made sense. Are you following me?
Yeah, I'm following you. Yeah.
So in 639 AD, they invaded Egypt, because it says during the reign of Umar, the second caliph of the Arab armies under the leadership of Amir ibn al-As invaded and conquered Egypt in 639 AD. You feel what I'm saying? Egypt was then a province of the Byzantine Empire ruled by a governor residing in Alexandria, which, if I'm not mistaken, that has a little bit something to do with Cleopatra. But everything that basically what I'm saying is, the people that are in Egypt right now have been there since around that fucking time period, which is, again, 639, or was it 639 AD? And then let me just do the math real quick. Let me do the math. So 639, 620, okay, no. 639 minus 622. So 17 years before that, they just created Islam, which is the religion that 90% of modern Arab Egyptians that are over there right now are practicing. But what were they doing? What were we doing before that? Ancient Egyptians is so much older than what the fuck they've been doing there right now, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Ancient Egypt is older than them. We are a race of people that is older than they are. We were fucking there first. Y'all don't even practice, what they can't read the hieroglyphics. Y'all ignore them because you subscribe to Christianity, which is a white person's freaking religion, or Islam, which is an Arab religion, Arab form of spirituality. That shit has nothing to do with anything that's on the walls in any of them fucking pyramids or spiritual grounds in Egypt. This is a fact.
No, you're right. That's a good point. That is a good point. But like you said, I think a lot of people don't want to associate with Black culture, or Black people, I should say. And that's why,
and then real quick, see, the Byzantine Empire were Romans. So they came in and took Egypt from the fucking Romans. This is what I'm saying. Because it says the Byzantine Empire, also referred to as the Eastern Roman Empire or Byzantium, was a continuation of the Roman Empire, primarily in its eastern provinces during the late antiquity and the Middle Ages, when its capital city was Constantinople. All right, so this is what I'm saying. White people were there right before them, so they know who was there before them. So they're willing to accept that. But Arab people do not like Black people because they were the first ones to enslave Africans, and then they got in cahoots with white people to fucking trade the transatlantic slave trade.
Right.
So this is what I'm saying. So of course they're gonna say, well, yeah, we know Cleopatra was white, because when we came in, she was there not long before us. But who was there before them? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, because they like each other. White people and Arabs, they like each other. But white people and Arabs, they don't like us. This is why. So they're like, yeah, we were there, but you was never there, which is not fucking true. Because if you go way back, ancient Egypt, all right, real ancient Egypt, that shit goes back tens of thousands of years. This is what I'm saying. Everything that's there is there for a reason. Reasons that they don't even understand. They don't even understand. Because I really wonder if they could actually decipher what's on the motherfucking walls. They can't. Why? Because you didn't put it there. You're gonna act like you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna act like it's there, but really to them it's just wallpaper. Because if you got your own city, and I go and I conquer your goddamn city, and then I've managed to maintain control of what used to be your city for freaking, let's say, thousands of years, I could just go on and tell everybody that I'm the original people of your goddamn city.
Right.
That's what happened. This is what happened. And because it's so far back, it's like people are not going to have enough information to be able to say what happened fucking 30, 50,000 years ago. No one knows. People can give you an idea, and some, historians, archaeologists, or whatever, a lot of them have been honest enough to say, yeah, those people were black. Those people that were there, they were black. He says the Egyptian elite were black. YouTube it. YouTube that shit.
No, that's a fact, man. People, like you said, people need to do their research on it. Like I said,
I'm saying, it only took me a matter of minutes to just put the fucking, to connect the dots. This is what it is. Yeah, y'all were there. So they can say, yeah, we're Egyptians because you guys have been there for thousands of years. Sure, but it wasn't just y'all. And it wasn't just white people. Black people were there too. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that y'all were not there. Because if I've been there for 5,000 freaking years, yeah, of course, my people are going to start to refer themselves as, they're going to call themselves where they're from. So I'm not going to say you guys aren't Egyptians. I mean, sure, call yourselves that, but the ancient Egyptians were black. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That's a good point, man. This is the key to it. People need to do their research on this stuff because, like you said, a lot of people are basing their judgment calls based on what other people saying. They don't know. That's right. I'm learning something.
Recent history.
You know what I'm saying? I'm learning something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all recent history. So if the pyramids have been there for, let's say, 30,000 years, but you've only been there for 1,500 fucking years or some shit, how can you say that you built the fucking pyramids when you weren't even there when they were built? You can't decipher what's on the goddamn walls. So what stake do you claim on that motherfucking land that you don't even understand? Because I said before, I'm like, if people really understood ancient Egyptian culture, then like, what's the need to constantly excavate sarcophaguses and shit like that to keep digging through there? Because they don't know anything. They don't know anything. There is no place on earth that looks the way Egypt does. And this is why there's such a like a manic fixation on Egypt, because nobody understands anything. And the real people that are from there, they were moved out and disassociated with it. So we haven't been there so long. Of course, we don't, the average black person doesn't know anything about Egypt. But the whole continent of Africa is black. It is for black people. It is our motherland. Y'all did not come from Africa. You guys are not of Africa. If you've ever heard that all races of people come from Africa, that is a fucking lie. That is not true. That is not true. Y'all don't come from there. You guys come from Europe. That's where y'all come from. White people and freaking, Arabs, that's where y'all are from. Y'all just came over there. And you were able to conquer it, sure. But y'all were there long enough to say, you know what? Well, this is all ours. No, you got there 639 AD. The fucking religion that 90% of modern Egyptians practice today was created 17 years before that y'all got there. Y'all weren't there for that long. Everything that's in Egypt, everything that is ancient was there way before y'all got there. Way before you got there. So I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear it. Call yourselves Egypt. Sure, you guys were there and you've been there long enough to just tote the name. That is fine. But where is Egypt? Africa. How long have black people been on this fucking earth? 250,000 years. And we're from Africa. You don't think black people touched that land first? We did. We did.
That's a fact. It's just, people on
Racism. That's it is just racism. That is all it is. Because if I sit there and you have a country and I conquer your country and then I've been able to maintain residence in that country for 1,500 years, close to 2,000 freaking years, my people are going to start calling themselves, Persians and shit like that. So let's say if you have your own country and that shit is called Persia, right? And then I go in there and I conquer your shit and then I move on. If I don't kill you, I just kick you out and I move you out and I exile you. And then my people are there. The Demetrians are there for freaking, 2,000 years. We're going to start calling ourselves Persians. Real shit. That's what they did. That's exactly what they did.
That's a good point. But you know what? That's the conversation that doesn't happen.
Because they don't want to hear it. But it's because they're not lying about themselves. It's not like they're not from there, because if you've been there for 2,000 freaking years or almost 2,000 years and your whole family tree has resided in Egypt, sure, you could call yourself Egyptian. That's fine. But do not say that black people were not there first. Do not say that black people have nothing to do with it. Do not say everything that I'm saying about this shit is Afro-centrism. No, it's the truth. It's the truth. It's the facts. This has nothing to do with my feelings. This is just the facts. I just looked it up. It's not like this shit told me that among the freaking top 3 religions in Egypt, you see what I'm saying? At least, like, let's say 20% of them was still practicing ancient Egyptian spirituality. That shit didn't say that. That shit said 0.01% other. And we don't even know what that is. You see what I'm saying? Exactly. Some motherfuckers could be Buddhists or some shit over there. That shit said Islam and Christianity. That's what it said. Both recently established religions.
Yep. But you know what? This is
so they just got there. In the grand scheme of how long Egypt was there and how long we've been on this earth, they just got there. Y'all just got there. White people weren't there for that long. Y'all just got there. So Stop with the cap. Stop with the cap. They're looking out for their own people, which is the same way they looked out for them when they were trading us as slaves. Real shit. Real shit. Real shit. Because when the transatlantic slave trade was happening, they went and then tapped on white people, said, yo, we could trade these people as valuable fucking resources and shit like that. They went to fucking white people second. It was Arabs first, white people second. You want to know why? Because Arabs were already in Africa at that point. And then white people took that torch and ran with it. They're in cahoots. So, of course, if freaking, Gal Gadot played fucking, Cleopatra, they're going to be cool with it. If Elizabeth Olsen played Cleopatra, they'd be cool with it. Oh, but the minute you get a black passing biracial woman to fucking play Cleopatra, y'all got a problem, though.
Yep.
This is what I'm saying. They're in cahoots. Because everybody in that Twitter thread that I seen was white people and Arabs talking shit about black people. Somebody was like, oh, black women, really think that they're queens. Ha, 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 ha. Mad likes on the fucking tweet and shit. Still racist to this day. Still racist to this day. They do not want black people to be associated with the cradle of civilization where they came and learned some shit. Because my understanding of far back ancient Egyptian history was white people came to us and we showed them the way. They left, came back, conquered our shit. That's how it was. That's how it was. And then we never recovered the same way we used to be since. We were the ones that educated them. We were the ones that educated them. So the way that they fucking ostracize us from fucking history is crazy. But you know what it is? It's fucking racism because they never liked us and they still don't to this day. Because we are the only people that look the way that we do. Latino people look like fucking white people. Arabs and shit like that, they look like white people. Same facial features, all of that shit. We're the only ones that look the way that we do. We stand out, so of course we're treated like that. That shit is in Africa. They did the same shit in South Africa. But that's okay too though, right? Who was doing that? White people. You know what they said to each other? They said, okay, y'all take the North, we'll take the South. Apartheid was really a thing in Africa, which is a place that we are from. And they said, black people, y'all can't, the same shit that they did in the United States, they were doing in Southern Africa. Come on. Come on. The history is there. Just take a fucking look. I'm not saying you Arab Egyptian motherfuckers are lying. Shit, you Egyptian, sure, you can have at it, but don't say my people are not there. Because you niggas, recent history, recent world fucking history, science, y'all niggas just got there. Because in the grand scheme of things, what is 2,000 years compared to fucking 150,000 years? If I win, it's like a quote that I heard in Call of Duty. It was like history is written by the victor. So nigga, if I win, I could write history however I want to. And I don't have to include you if I don't want to. If I don't like you or your people, I'm not going to include you in my writing of history. And if I do, I'm gonna paint you in the worst light possible. And that's how black people have been painted. Because we're rarely ever associated with, being kings, queens. You know what I'm saying? Rarely. And then the one time they did it, it's all this outrage.
That's a fact.
That's what I'm saying, because they don't want this. Yo, it's like they'd rather us be seen as like mermaids and shit rather than, a fucking, Egyptian queen or something. For real. Yeah. For real. Will Smith deadass wanted to he was developing a film called The Last Pharaoh in 2007, 2008, around the time that he made I Am Legend. And then he was going to portray a pharaoh of Kush, the kingdom of Kush, Taharka. Freaking that shit never happened. Gee, I wonder why, because they don't want us to know that shit. Yeah, we might have Black Panther, but that is not overtly Egyptian culture, but at its root it is. Because all Wakandans pray to the panther goddess Bas. That is an Egyptian god. People don't even know that. Wakandan history takes inspiration from fucking Egyptian history.
Right.
So those are the facts for your motherfucking asses, you Arab ass motherfuckers. I don't want to hear that shit. So what y'all saying is not a lie, but don't deny our truth. That's my point. That is my point. Do not deny our truth. You have yours, black people have ours. Do not dismiss that as Afro-centrism. No, it's the truth. It's the facts.
This whole conversation really, like I said, I learned a lot from what you said, because like I said, I'm not a historian. I'm not familiar with Cleopatra, so I learned a lot of stuff. So I'm sure a lot of people gonna listen to me change my opinion. But you know what? When you're informed, so you make a different opinion. So most of the stuff you said was true. Not that anybody who disagrees are probably people who
are freaking racist. Racist. Because everything I said, I use Google. As I say, Google University. It is all information that is still out there. Those were the facts. And it is also a fact that modern Egyptians today are racist and don't like black people. That is a fact. That is an absolute fact.
I mean, a lot of people don't like black people. So that's why,
and which is why it's so easy to erase black people from important, significant world history. It is easy to do that shit, because when you look at, and I'm not saying every single white person hates black people, or every single, Arab person probably hates black people. But again, history has shown we are strongly hated and disliked by these sorts of people. They're all in cahoots.
And you know what? It's
because like I don't know if I said this shit, on air, but if Elizabeth Olsen freaking was playing Cleopatra, nobody would say anything. Give me another freaking a popular white actress that I can't think of right now other than Elizabeth Olsen. Who's another one?
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. If she freaking played Cleopatra, nobody would say anything. Nobody would have said anything. But the minute they got a black looking woman, a black passing biracial woman to play Cleopatra, it was a problem. It was a problem, because they don't ever want young black girls to see, wow, is that where they don't want them to ask their moms, is that where I'm from? Is that where our people are from? They don't want that, because then it literally raises awareness, and then it becomes a serious conversation amongst black people. Because we shouldn't be having these conversations every now and then, or just because something happens. No, we should be talking about who we really are amongst ourselves.
And then that's facts. And like you said, if you don't speak up, you're going to keep getting bullied.
Oh, because we are bullied. That is a fact. Shit, our ancestors used to be slaves. What do you call that? If I enslave somebody, that is literally an extreme form of bullying. Denying somebody their human rights. We weren't allowed to eat. We weren't allowed to fucking read or write. Come on, man. Our people weren't even allowed to eat on them boats and shit like that, brought over here and everything. Come on, man.
Right.
And it's been like that since then. Take a look at the fucking news. Jordan Neely was bullied, was literally him getting bullied. And then their own people raised Daniel Penny $1 million for his freaking lawyer fees and all that shit. You know how much money freaking Jordan Neely raised? 85,000. 85,000 compared to his million. They look out for each other. We got to look out for ourselves. These are the conversations that we need to be having. Who we really are. The black people out there that are really experts about this shit, they really need to be putting themselves out there on the forefront and really pushing this information on people that don't know.
And a lot of
the dots are there, but it's up to us to connect them, because a lot of times, you know, when these people are saying shit, because the average person is not experts on world freaking history, they're not going to have like a rebuttal to a lot of that shit. You feel what I'm saying? So they're able to get away with it because most people are not informed. I just used the resources at my freaking fingertips, and I put the dots together. I don't think there's not one, you know, saying there's not any room for an Arab person or a white person to dispute me on this shit. Everything that I said later on in the fucking quick take, they can't say anything. What they gonna say? It's not true. Shut the fuck up, man. Shut the fuck. I'll beat your ass. I will beat your ass. Real shit. I'll beat your ass verbally and fucking physically. Shit. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out. Like I said, I'm not having it though. I'm not going for the okie doke, because I know who we really are. And I see us for who we really are. But the problem is that we don't. They do. That's why they get so mad. If it was really that far-fetched, why wouldn't even be saying nothing? If it wasn't true, right or wrong. That's like if I say, you know, Percy, you broke or some shit. If you know it's not true, you're gonna be like, yeah, all right. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna say nothing because you know what you got. You know what you got. If you got thousands of dollars in your bank account, it doesn't matter what the fuck I say because it's not true. You're gonna react if it's true. That's why it's gonna strike a nerve, because this shit is true. The only reason why it strikes a nerve every time black people, you know what I'm saying, reinsert themselves back into Egypt is because it's true. And they don't want you to know that. That's like you got to deal with somebody and you don't want them to know how much they like what their real potential is. So you're gonna block them from certain details because you don't want them to know how much what they really could be doing with that information or whatever it is that you're hiding from them. That's all it is.
No, that's a fact.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. And, you know, this conversation is important because, you know, at first when we went to this, I had a specific thing, and going along and hearing what you're saying, it made me change my perspective, and it really starts a different conversation. Because, like I said, this is the second time in the last 6 months we've heard this narrative. First was Kevin Hart, now this. And it's the same rhetoric. Like I said, if you're going to come correct and you're going to correct somebody, it has to come from a place of sincerity. And a lot of these people, like I said, the reviewers, a lot of these people who are, you know, who hate the show don't hate it because they hate the acting. They just hate because of the skin color. But again, the message is still the same. Like I said, they're not taking
like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's Remember the Time, that depicts black Egyptians. No one said anything to him back in the day. I don't remember him facing any backlash because it was true. You think Michael Jackson just decided? No, because he says black Egypt is in Africa. I don't ever remember, and I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. I don't remember him ever facing backlash for that music video. Ever. I bet you he's probably okay because they like Michael Jackson. Or maybe they don't like Michael Jackson, as racist as they are over there.
Oh, probably not. I mean,
black people are not even treated well in Egypt. Let's be real. And I said this in the other quick time. I'm not going to say too much. If y'all listening, go listen to that one. But a guy was saying that, like, yo, some people, they're friendly, but then there's others that like literally treat you like dirt. Some of these people are born there. Black people in Egypt that are born there and live there, and they get treated like dirt. Racism.
That, you know what? It goes to that point. Like I said, there's a lot of black people living in China who nobody's ever seen them. And you look at them, they're very, you know, they have certain features you never seen before, and they have the same skin color as us, but you don't see them over there. And a lot of them are half Chinese, half black. Some of them are just straight black. It's a cultural multiply, but they're. Well,
I'm not gonna get
into all that.
But as far as that's concerned, I'm not gonna say too much on that because black people are not from there. We're not from that region.
No.
We're not of that region. But to say were there black people there? Sure, probably. That I can't say. I'm only talking 100% on Africa. where we're actually from, undisputed. They were conquerors of Egypt. And then they just decided, well, you know what? I know we conquered it and everything. I know we're really from over here, but let's just call ourselves Egypt because, you know, we've been here for about 1,500 years. So, you know, why not? Why not? Why not? Yeah. Oh, yeah, Afro-centrism. Well, nigga, you live in Africa. If you got a problem with Afro-centrism, then move the fuck out of Africa. If that's the case, it's in the fucking word, nigga.
That's a fact. You're right. Speak of fact. I mean, I don't even got nothing. You said it all. I mean, you hit it right on the head. Like,
oh yeah. Like this shit, people need to hear. So just like how people was watching, you know, the Kevin Hart one, people really need to hear this shit because it's just the facts. Which I'm pretty sure there are other informed people that know this shit. But for the motherfuckers that like don't, when you get into it with these people, just say the facts. Like, you are a recent people. Y'all were recently here. How long has the earth been here? Islam is not an ancient religion. It is not an ancient form of spirituality. There's nothing ancient about Islam whatsoever. There's nothing ancient about Christianity either. Shots fired, but nigga, it's true. That shit ain't ancient. Christianity is literally a religion, is a form of spirituality that is literally 6,000 years old. If that, a matter of thousands of years. But we've been here for 150,000 years, 250,000 years. The first black person documented was a black woman. We weren't doing that. Like I said before, I forgot what video it was, but I was saying, like, as long as we've been here, we weren't doing that. That is not what our true ancestors, our ancient ancestors were doing back then. It's like, you remember the Kwanzaa play that we were doing. That's more along the lines of who we are. You know, when they were talking about ancestors and things like that. That's who we are. Not the shit that they fucking created and then pushed up onto you. So it's like, do not allow yourselves to be conquered anymore with misinformation or lies and shit like that. Shit that they don't want you to know because it's not common knowledge and stuff like that. Like I said, the history is written by the fucking victor.
100%.
So when you getting bullied by white people and fucking Arab people and the exiled original people went on to be oppressed, no one is going to defend you. No one is going to stick up for you. That is a fact.
100%. You know, and I think that's the key to this whole thing is the fact that stand up for yourself, defend yourself. Like you said, the whole point, especially with Adele was saying, it's not about the racial thing. It's about the fact that their story is about telling a story and highlighting someone's achievements. You could disagree with the casting, but the message is still the same. But again, like you said, you know, when you're trying to, you know, change somebody's history, when you're trying to, you know, erase people, and that doesn't matter how good the message is, they're going to try to find a way to.
Because I'm pretty sure if Jada Pinkett Smith made a freaking menace to society too, nobody would say anything because they want us to see each other in the freaking gangster thug light and stuff like that. But because she showed a black queen, you know, saying for once, it's blackwashing. Shut the fuck up, man. Shut the fuck up.
How can you whitewash? That's the thing. You can, how
am I going to blackwash Africa? How am I going to blackwash Africa? How am I going to blackwash the blackest continent on earth, the blackest location on earth?
Right.
So, what are your thoughts? Please be sure again to like, comment, subscribe. Percy, I appreciate you coming on here, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.